delicious.
Hey guys, I'm Esther from Essy Cooks, and in this video I'm so excited to show you how to make this delicious vegan apple crisp. So even if you don't make desserts a lot, this is super easy to make. It's one of those things that's really flexible and really amazing, and all of your guests are gonna love it. So if you need to make a dessert, this is it, and it's actually super easy to make this vegan. We're gonna be sticking with a really classic apple crisp recipe, and basically the only substitutions we have to make are just using organic sugar and using vegan butter instead of regular butter. And this is absolutely amazing. I cannot wait to show you guys how to make this. All right, so first up, we've got our apples here. Now you're gonna wanna get 6 apples, honeycrisp, royal gala, whatever you have, any kind of apple will work. Mine were really small because they were the organic ones, so I actually ended up using 7 just because they were smaller than the average apple. And now I'm gonna go ahead and peel all of my apples. If you wanna leave the peel on, you can, but it is texturally a little bit better if you remove those peels. And I've tried both, so just so you know it, it's totally up to you. Now, I'm going to dice these up into nice little bite-sized pieces, and before I start doing that, I'm just going to preheat my oven to 350 degrees so that the oven is heating up while I'm preparing this. So I'm just going to go ahead and make a few cuts there, and you can see this is the cube size sort of that we're looking for, and we want to make the pieces all fairly even so that they're going to cook through around the same so that every bite is going to be perfect and amazing. Now, they don't all have to be perfectly cut exactly the same, but just keep them roughly around the same size so that they'll cook evenly. Now I'm going to go ahead and do this with all of my apples. Again, 6 regular sized apples is perfect for this recipe. Now you can see they're all cut roughly around the same size, and I'm going to grab my baking dish next. So we're going to put everything in this baking dish. This is a 6x9 baking dish, but an 8x8 baking dish would work as well. And now we just want to grease up our baking sheet so that nothing sticks to the side, and nothing greases a dessert better than vegan butter or butter. This is just the best thing. It's best for the flavor. Like, you could use olive oil or something like that, but the flavor to me isn't going to be right for a dessert like this. So I'd recommend using a little bit of your vegan butter for that. Now I'm going to add my chopped apples into just a medium-sized mixing bowl, and then I have a tablespoon here of freshly squeezed lemon juice. Even 2 teaspoons is fine for that. And then I have a teaspoon of cinnamon. So I've got 2 teaspoons of cinnamon in my little thing here. I'm just going to put 1 teaspoon of the cinnamon on top of the apples. So I've got my lemon juice, I've got my cinnamon, and then I'm going to add some sugar. So I've got 2 tablespoons of organic cane sugar here. It's just sticking to the bowl a little bit. I'm just going to make sure I get all of that in there. Now, if you're using white sugar, there's a lot of, information that maybe white sugar isn't necessarily vegan because they use some sort of animal product to bleach it into being that nice white color. So that's why, if you're worried about that, if you're just doing dairy-free, you don't have to worry about that. If you are worried about that, just something to note. So that's why I'm using the cane sugar here. The organic cane sugar. They don't use that same type of processing. So I'm going to mix this up all really well. I want each apple chunk to be super well coated in the mixture, so just keep mixing and mixing until everything is evenly coated, and we'll take a closer look just so you can see kind of how well that's coated and combined. You won't really see the sugar or anything, and the cinnamon is kind of like all over each little piece of apple evenly, and look at that, that is perfect. Oh, this is so good. Okay, back to our greased baking dish that is so nicely greased. This is a dessert, so just don't even worry about the sugar and butter because it is going to taste good. So we're going to add the apple mixture into the baking dish. And then we're going to make our apple crumble topping. So I've got 3/4 of all-purpose flour. Now, you can use gluten-free flour if you want to make this a gluten-free dessert. This is a great dessert to make gluten-free. I don't think this one really requires gluten like some desserts do. And then I've got a cup of brown sugar. Look how satisfying that is. And then I've got a little bit more cinnamon, that other teaspoon from earlier. So I've got 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, and then I'm going to add in 3/4 cup of rolled oats Instant oats are fine, but rolled oats are really better. Old-fashioned oats are really better for this recipe. Sometimes with instant oats, they kind of melt away, like they just cook too fast. They're just not as sturdy and hearty as what we're looking for in this recipe. So if you have rolled oats or old-fashioned oats, that is the absolute best choice for this. So we're just going to kind of roughly mix that together, and then we have our vegan butter. So I've got half a cup of cold vegan butter. It's important that it be cold for this recipe. Now, I don't have like anything special for making this, like dough hooks or anything like that. I'm just going to do this by hand because it's so easy. Just make sure that your hands are squeaky clean, and then we're just going to start kind of massaging the butter into the mixture. Now, we don't want to like completely melt the butter. We want little chunks of it in there because it's going to melt and evenly distribute over the dessert as it bakes. So that is what we were looking for. So I'm just going to kind of keep working it into this mixture. Like, we do want little tiny pieces of butter in there. We don't want them all melted in. So at the end, I'll show you guys, they should be about pea-sized little pieces. And of course, I'm not going to recommend that you guys eat flour that's not been cooked, but guys, this tastes amazing. I tried it myself and it's like cookie dough. It's just so delicious. So I'm just going to keep working that butter into the mixture again until I get kind of like that those little pea-sized pieces throughout. So take your time, don't rush, but again, don't overdo it because you don't want to melt all the butter either. So I'm just going to keep mixing and mixing. This topping is really, honestly, everything for it. The reason I love this dessert so much, I really do think that anybody can make this, even if you're not a baker, even if you're not experienced in making desserts. This is just a pretty fast and easy dessert that you can make that everybody loves. Like, I think almost everybody loves an apple crisp, and it is the perfect thing because it's pretty flexible. You can make a couple changes to it and it's pretty easy and flexible. Now, back to the baking dish, I'm going to add the crumble on top, just nice and evenly. And as I'm doing it, you can actually see like those little kind of pea-sized pieces of butter that are still in the mixture. So I'm just going to completely cover the top of the apples, and then I'm going to spread it around. Again, doesn't have to be perfect, just spread it around as evenly as you can. So I'm just going to use the back of my wooden spoon here just to evenly kind of pat that down and spread it around. No need to cover every single piece if the little piece of apple is showing, totally fine, no problem. So I'm just going to keep mixing that around, and the oven is all ready. So I can go ahead, grab that apple crisp and place it right into the oven on the middle rack. So I'm going to place that in there. I'm going to bake it at 350 for 40 to 50 minutes. I would check on it at 40 minutes to see where it's at and see if it needs, another 5 to 10. You want it to be all bubbly. See in the bottom there, it's absolutely bubbling, and it is golden brown on top. So those are the two things that we're looking for, and we know that that is ready, and we can pull that out of the oven. Now take a look at that. Yum. So when you're first serving up this apple crisp, it can be just a touch watery, and that just means it's piping hot. That will thicken up. I wouldn't worry too much about that. There's just a little bit of moisture in the apple. So you're going to see that here, and honestly, like 1 to 2 minutes later, it thickens up, and so don't worry too much about that. Now, look at how hot and steamy that is. Wow, hopefully I don't burn my mouth on this. I really got to wait. So you can see that little bit of moisture from the apples. Don't worry about that. You can see it in the background of this shot here too, but just a minute or two later, you're going to see that that has completely thickened up to this sort of delicious caramelly, like look at that. It is, wow, that is perfect. Now, one of the best things you can serve with apple crisp is ice cream. So a vegan vanilla ice cream. I used the So Delicious brand, and it is, as it says, it's super delicious. It's not sponsored or anything. This is just the one that I like. And just a small scoop of that on top. And some people will put even a caramel sauce on top if you want to make it even more fancy. You can make that out of dates, or you can buy one, or you can put date syrup on top. But I think just like this with a little bit of vegan vanilla ice cream is just right. Okay, it's time for the taste test, and I have my taste tester here who was cheating and eating before the camera came on. This is the dessert lover in the house.
Delicious.
That's so good. We absolutely love this recipe. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this video, you want to see more like this, just make sure you hit that like and subscribe button below.